Good morning. Welcome to this episode of Happiness After Codependency. You're with Marshall Berkshire. I'm your guide back to knowing, loving, and living who you are so that you can go off and enjoy a life that's fulfilling for you in ways that work for you. That probably doesn't sound all that amazing without all the big flashy words that are often used in the coaching industry, but really the common result that my students and clients receive is peace, rest, and then ultimately connection, fulfillment, and more happiness in the world. Because they're living who they are and then building connection and relationship with others. And that's my goal for you guys, is to discover that that's real for you. And you can have that in your life. So today we're doing episode number 5 of the How to Nurture series, How to Nurture Your Needs, Nurture You series. Today we're going to talk about how attachment works and its role in meeting those needs and how we can soften up to it, because care is a big deal and it's really poorly practiced in our world today. So we're going to jump into that. But before we do that, a kidney stone update. The pain is significantly less. I'm not at a 5 and a 7 anymore. I'm at a 1 and a 2 currently. The kidney is, the stone, I know right where it's at. So you can poke it. And it's almost there. So we're getting close to the birth of the stone babies. So fun there. And I'm also going to share this out to the community. The community is your safe haven here, where you can find tools, guidance, and support in your journey back to yourself and back and into creating and forging the well-being and happiness you deserve in your life. The link is above on Facebook, below on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And if you're on a podcast, go to freeself.com. Click community and you can join there. So, okay, so let me get this shared out now. Thank you, Pamela. Nice to see you. It's been a good little while since we've talked. I see you're doing well and you're out there having adventures. Good work. Proud of you. Excellent. Yeah, I'm happy it's moving on the stone. The probability is I also have a second one on the merge, but we'll see what that does. But yeah, Mr. Terrastone's on the move. Okay. The podcast is called the Happiness After Codependency Podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, so you can check it out there to get on my little announcer voice going. Okay, so nurture. We've had a journey here in the last couple of weeks about nurture. I mean, in my own life, the nurture, I had to take time off in order to care for this and to help care for my body and where it's at. What it's doing. I've had to ask for assistance from reliable sources. I have been vulnerable. I've been open with those individuals, and they have been there reliably. And that's because we have built a secure attachment. That's because we have, over time, built the trust that creates the reliability in how a person's going to respond to us when we have a need. See, our needs are interconnective. They're interpersonal. They create connection. They create warmth. They create attachment and bonds between each other, right? And this is critical to understand, because while we are responsible for the care and management of our needs, we're responsible for them that way. That doesn't mean we are about meeting them exclusively with ourselves, because that's not possible. That's not even their design. Our needs are interpersonal. Even when you're meeting needs within inside yourself, it's an interpersonal experience with your inner child, your inner selves. So they're always interdependent. And that's the magic of needs. But for needs to be reliably met, to feel safe enough to ask for something, safe enough to receive, and then to contribute, we need to look at what attachment is. So attachment is the conduit in which needs, wants, feelings, intimacy, companionship, support, and play it's the freeway in which it runs on, basically. I look at attachment as the conduit, the pipe, the roadway in which these things travel between people. And if that roadway is solid and secure and reliable, they get down the road a lot faster. And they come back to us a lot faster without a whole lot of turmoil, pain, confusion, frustration. But if we're anxious about how that person's going to respond to our needs, or if we're anxious about our needs, if we have an anxious relationship with the validity of our needs, that's going to be a bumpy road until it gets smoothed out with people who are willing to co-regulate. They care about you, so they co-regulate. Yeah, I see you're anxious. What do you need? They reach towards you because they care about you. They work on being attuned to you and understanding your verbal and nonverbal signals about what you need, or what you want, where you're at. They learn your patterns, and you learn their patterns. And learning how to build secure attachment is work. But this smooths out that anxiety. Maybe you're avoidant, like, someone else's needs feels encroaching. It feels smothering. It feels like I'm obligated to do this, and I'm not going to be able to be myself, which means I can't say no. I can't put a limit on this. I can't advocate for myself. So I'm just gonna walk away from it. Maybe you're avoidant of your own needs because it brings up shame, fear, that anxiety of being engulfed, or of being rejected, being cast out and neglected. That means that road, that conduit between you and other people is very rocky, and that conduit needs to be worked out. We need to make the journey in coming into our own legitimization, and then building practical experience with others that care about it, while managing the anxiety, what I call attachment distress that shows up. Am I going to pull away, or am I going to lean into the space with this person while keeping myself if I'm avoidant? If I'm anxious, am I going to allow them to respond as they choose and receive from them what they choose to give, rather than trying to control what shows up? This is big work, big work for everyone involved. Something that I work on every day. I mean, me sitting here in my little basement apartment, it's easy to create the illusion that everything's chipper. But in reality, we're working on this all the time. Even in my secure relationships and friendships, there's a little anxiety, there's a little avoidance, there's a little confusion. So I reach out anyway. I find out what's going on, find out the truth. I ask, for something. I see that they need something. I ask if I can contribute. And that sometimes is really uncomfortable. But I have learned through a lot of painful experience that with the right people, it becomes easier and easier and easier, because there's a predictability that emerges out of this. And that's where secure attachment begins to form, because it's like, oh, I can rely on them for this. Reliability means 8 out of 10 times they'll respond affirmatively to it. Doesn't mean 100%, because we're human beings and we have to remember that. So we come from this premise of, oh, this person reliably shows up this way. We can connect. We can understand each other. I can ask. And I can ask to receive. I can ask to contribute. They can do the same. Secure attachment, that's the fundamental role. That's the fundamental element, rather, that helps the needs get fulfilled. And ironically, or paradoxically, as we practice our needs, we reinforce secure attachment with the right people. See, when we let go of the idea that someone else is responsible for our needs, we open up to a deeper concept of people want to meet my needs. People care about my needs. And I can detect those people by the way they respond to my needs consistently. Bam. We're able to build secure attachment based on trust, based on reliability, and based on that desire. Because that's really what we're all looking for. We all want to experience what it's like to be wanted and valued, loved and seen. But that can't come from a premise of responsibility. It has to come from a premise of desire. Because from that desire, the consent occurs and it's freely done. This is how real love works. But if we feel like someone's responsible to us for that need, then obligation, entitlement, resentment enter the world, and it damages the relationship. It lowers intimacy. It chinks away at trust. So we enter this world of like, wow, this person cares about me. And I know that because of the way they respond to my needs when I ask for them. I know what the pattern is. Then I can trust that they'll respond in a kind and loving way the majority of the time. This also gives consideration to the other person, because sometimes we have a need and we're like, can you help me here? And they don't have the capacity to do it. They don't have the ability to show up in that moment because they have to take care of their own limit, their own capacity, that they're overwhelmed. They aren't in a position to do that. And if we came in with an idea that, oh, you're responsible for meeting my need because we're in a relationship, and that person's overwhelmed, says, I can't do that right now, what happens? A lot of times resentment and frustration show up. Hurt shows up. Rather than going, oh, yeah, your needs are maxed out, or your capacity's maxed out, mine's maxed out. Let's be maxed out together. Let's see individually, what do we need? Some people, when they're maxed out, they need to go into solitude. Some people need to co-regulate with someone. That's where we build the community around us. So if person A isn't available, we can go to person B. So on and so forth. And this builds secure, intimate, reliable attachment. Because we're being seen and valued for where we're at. We're seeing and valuing others for where they're at. That's real trust and real intimacy. This is where care is deeply cultivated for us. Because it's like, I can land here and I'll be received. And I know if they're not available, it's not because there's something wrong with me or with them. And I know that there's resources, others I can lean on too. So we're diversifying our baskets in which we put our eggs in. Our eggs being our needs, baskets being relationships which we connect to. And the role of attachment in this is it makes it stable and secure. It allows us to become not dependent, but we can rely on the individual. I'm real specific here because dependency for a lot of people feels like, that's enmeshment. They're obligated. Where in reality, reliability is like, I can lean on this person. They'll have my back. If I'm climbing the hill and I reach my hand up, they're going to understand what that is, and they're going to reach out and help me up the hill. Because they understand that's how I need to be cared for. See, there's a trick here. Being cared for is a very individual thing. When we build secure attachment, when we're operating on an active trust and awareness of the other person and ourselves, we start to understand what care means for a person. Like for me, sometimes if I'm climbing the hill, what care means for me is someone's like, you got this, you're a badass, keep doing it, kick its butt, do it, that helps. Sometimes it's I need a little support, so I'll reach out and they'll be like, I've got your hand. But I've helped them understand that by talking to them about the signals that show up with this. My girlfriend and I were talking about this last night over dinner. The kind of responsibility we have in nurturing our needs is to communicate to that person the signals that show up, which means we have to build a self-awareness of what our needs are, how they work. This is built on a premise of what, how, who, a method for relating. If I can understand what my needs are and how they work, I can communicate them to people, and then they're going to learn through experience what that looks like, and we can build this secure attachment and this reliability in meeting each other's needs because we're attuning to each other, we're understanding each other rather than trying to control each other, which is often where people go because we're scared of being told no, we're scared of rejection, we're scared of losing the attachment. So it kind of sabotages the attachment when we're going towards control, and it reinforces and builds the attachment when we're going towards trust. We're going towards that openness. It's like, wow, this person wants to show up this way for me. then I can safely open up to receiving more from them, because I know that the probability of being hurt is extremely low, and being abandoned is almost zero. That's cool. Because now it's like, we're here, we're forging this together. We're shaping the relationship around how we individually work, so we can reach towards each other and meet each other's needs in a way that galvanizes intimacy and bond and trust. Because here's another tip on this. When we're meeting needs between people, we need to reach towards their need through their method, through their how or their language, not through ours. That's how people start to feel seen, valued, and loved, is when someone slows down and goes, oh, so when you need assistance, you reach your hand out. I can do that. Rather than, oh, well, if you need assistance, then you just have to do this instead. It's about understanding what the person's signals are, verbal and nonverbal, for that support. That's part of caring for someone else. That's part of being attuned to them. That's something that we can internalize as a function in our relationship. It's like, oh, if I'm going to be in a caring relationship for this person, this is, if and care shows up as X, Y, and Q, I need to be attuned to that and work with that. See, that's part of our responsibility in a relationship, is to become understanding of them. That doesn't mean I'm responsible for their needs. That doesn't mean that I'm obligated to those needs. It means that I am attuning to the need so that I can use my love and my care and my positive regard, my warmth for this person in the most effective way in connecting with them. Because most of us want to know the other person. We want the other person to know that we love them, we care about them, they matter to us. And that's our desire. Those are our feelings. They land in our yard. So that's why it's our responsibility to communicate that in a way that lands for that individual. This is interpersonal nurture at its most primary level. It's an advanced approach. It can be a challenging one. But that's the magic here, is we get to grow into it. We get to understand it and nurture it. And the same for if I have a need and my need works a particular way, part of caring for my need is communicating how that works with two other people, and then teaching them how to meet me there. That's what it means to be responsible for our needs. That's what it means to care and manage them. That way, we're all consensually contributing to each other's needs, and we're not asserting a force or a coercion onto the other person, which breeds resentment, confusion, and hurt. I've seen it over and over again when I was doing couples work. When couples started responding to each other's needs from this premise of, I care about you, I want to meet you and serve you this way, a lot of the conflict went away, because now we're hearing each other, we're seeing each other, and we're beginning to build trust, beginning to build intimacy, rather than control and force. And that's all based on how attachment is working. So to build secure attachment, you got to understand where you're at. Are you anxious? Are you avoidant? Are you disorganized? You can take it. I use Diane Pohl Heller's attachment quiz, because I follow a lot of her work on this. It'll tell you where you're at on that spectrum. We are a combination of secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. We're not all one or the other. And these will shift over time. They'll change with the person you're dealing with, because you have a different level of trust, a different level of vulnerability with them. So it's dynamic. It's a fluid thing. Sometimes I call attachment styles, I call them attachment experiences, because I have a different experience from one person to the next, depending on what's going on. But when we are meeting our needs through genuine care, it builds and secures our attachment. And our secure attachment then amplifies the safety in which to get these needs met. and round we go. And it works the same way when things are not functioning well. If I'm anxious and I'm trying to control something, it damages trust. Unless the other person's really well attuned, it's like, I see you're anxious, come here, you need some reassurance. But then we can also ask for that reassurance, and we can help them understand that, hey, if I'm trying to get something from you, I'm not doing it effectively, let me know. And also, please reassure me of how things are going, how you see me, how you value me. Because we need that in a relationship. Not all the time. Because if we're constantly asking for reassurance, we don't actually trust that we're being valued and loved. And we need to step back and look at the relationship. We need to determine if the relationship is functioning correctly. If it is, they're showing up well, they're attentive, they're kind, they're loving, they take accountability, they have integrity, they're reliable, then we need to look at our own attachment trauma and begin to work that out. Now, if I'm avoidant and I just don't need anything, I'm needless, I don't have any needs, then I need to open up and start sharing my needs. I need to learn their language. I need to learn how they work. I need to ask from others those needs. And then I need to become available to receiving them. And I need to become available to allow people to have proximity to me. Now, I get to choose who gets proximity because I'm the one that manages my yard. But that's how I care for my needs from an anxious attachment or an avoidant attachment style. That's the magic here. So we start building this into our world. Start building it into how we care for ourselves, how we nurture ourselves. So that's how attachment influences our needs, and that's how needs influence our attachment. They help us move from wherever we're at on the attachment spectrum into secure attachment when we're working with the right people in the right way. This can be a challenge. It's a big leap. If you're like, wow, Marshall, that's kind of like fantasy land. Cool. It can feel that way. I get it. When I learned this years ago, I thought it was all just a pipe dream. But then I started to go out and put into practice what I was learning, and I started to find out that this actually exists. That people care, and people want to care about us, and that we want to care about them. And when it's mutual, we get this fulfillment. We get this chance to grow this friendship or this relationship in this way. It's work. But it's work that's, at least in my experience, it's always been worth it because one, I find truth, and two, I find real connection that lasts. So that's today's episode, my friends. Thank you for being here. Remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. We are 4 days out from nurture starting. So if you want to learn how to nurture yourself interpersonally with others and intrapersonally, how to care for your inner children, that's the course for you. It's designed to help you begin to heal the loneliness, the emptiness, and the disconnection you feel in your life, and help you accomplish that through my 2-step nurture process, which is interpersonal and intrapersonal nurture. So we start Monday. So the link is above on Facebook, below on YouTube, and it's on the website under courses if you're listening by a podcast. So there you go, my friends. Go gently. I will see you in our next episode.